Hello everyone and welcome to the corner. Today we are going to discuss why I think America achieved nothing in the US-Africa summit. You see, African leaders have come to the realization that when it comes to Africa and the West relations, it's always one way, it's exploitation. Africa 100 years back is not Africa today. Africa leaders have come to the realization that the West is mainly dependent on them more than how they are dependent on the West. But the only tool that the West have effectively exploited against us Africans is their financial systems. Now that other blocks are rising up and they are creating alternative for third world countries to rise and develop their economies, you see a shift in the global order. You see conflicts arising everywhere. This is the time for African leaders to take advantage of this shifting global world order. Now what we see right now is the fight for a new international economic system. Now they have other major players in the world who believe that they can offer a better alternative to mankind that can be beneficial to most of the world's population. Because what we have noticed in the past 70 years have been one hegemonic nation exacting its power over all the other nations on earth. The majority of the world is coming up to this realization that there is an alternative system to this unipolar world order. This American hegemony where the US is the country that decides who benefits and who doesn't. Here in this corner, today we are going to discuss reasons why I think Africa should join the BRICS and what benefits can the BRICS add to African economies. Africa have been in debt because of biased financial systems. The International Monetary Fund are commonly known as the IMF and the World Bank. These two institutions are dominated by Western powers. They are financed by America and the G7, and the goal of these institutions is to keep the developing nations in check. These guys, they have various criteria for various countries when it comes to getting loan. You see, the already developed nations, they get grants. When it comes to African countries, they give you loans with excessive interest, which is going to sink the economy in 5 years' time. African leaders are looking elsewhere for alternatives. Organizations like the SEO who offer a better deal compared to the West. This is the reason why you see the major shift away from the US dollar, and everyone is trying to position themselves with better allies in this emerging multipolar world order. The Western media is so biased in a certain way that the information is skewed, and most of the vital information that is there to help most of the masses, especially here in Africa, make better decisions, they are manipulated in a certain way to influence our decisions and how we relate with people who have good intention for us. So one major reason why I think all African countries should consider joining the BRICS is economic benefits. You see, the BRICS combined, they have a stronger economy more than the G7 nations, and countries like China and Russia have a broad range of services that they can provide. It will be more beneficial for African leaders to have a partnership with Russia and China. One, because these two countries do not have a history of colonialism, nor a history of partaking in slave trade. You see? So, these two countries, they respect African leaders and they come to Africa to do fair trade. These countries, they have actual commodities to trade with what we have in Africa. Because our mineral resources are too valuable and the West is too poor to do trade with us, they try to create institutions or they try to find ways around it One of the way the West robbed us from our mineral wealth was through colonization or colonialism. You see, colonialism was a tool by the West to plunder and steal our resources without doing any trade for it. Now they have players like Russia and China who are ready to give us our services and do fair trade with us. They are ramping up the propaganda machine in Africa and trying to spread a negative narrative here in Africa about China and Russia. You see, these two countries, they are a clear manifestation to us Africa that there are other systems that can work part of this old classic democracy and capitalism. You see, China, for one, is a clear example that can prove that there are other economic systems that can be as beneficial as democracy and capitalism. This is the reason why Africans should support the rising multipolar world order.
Stay blessed.